Itumena batako hae and welcome to Mommy Diaries. Libitso la ka ke Mapaseka Koetle. Kasheko re tlo bua ka all things pregnancy, and this show is intended to guide us through this experience motherhood. I have my friend Libitso la hae ke lehloho Nolo Phiri, also known as Nolo Phiri. She's an actress, a mother, a producer, a businesswoman. Bona what itseba kaofela. Chomi, welcome.
Hey Chomi, I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. How are you? Like, and be honest when you answer this question, because most of the time we always ask people how they're doing, but the answer is always, I'm fine.
Today's a good day.
Okay.
And I love the fact that you're asking deliberately and intentionally.
Yeah.
Because Shematate Hatswan.
Yes.
And I had a very difficult week,
Yeah.
to be quite honest.
Yeah.
I think my work takes quite a lot of what I do. But today I woke up and I'm feeling myself. Thank you, Chomi.
And how's work? How does it feel to be a producer? Because producing is more same like being a mom. You are, in control.
You're running a
production.
Oh my gosh, it's hectic. It's quite stressful, to be quite honest. I think you have to be quite, you need to know yourself. You need to find a bit of your voice, because everybody depends on that, for you to have some kind of leadership, understanding of yourself. But I love it, to be quite honest. I think being a creative is amazing, to be quite honest. To create with like-minded people, tell stories that really move us and change us, and you have fun and stuff. But it's very stressful. I think the industry has changed quite a bit. So we're reinventing ourselves. We're trying to find ways to monetize this very fast adapting industry. There's a lot of, everybody's a content creator now.
Everyone.
There's
TikTok, there's Instagram.
Show.
Yes.
So you have to be a lot more intentional about separating yourself, and empower yourself. Know who are the gatekeepers, know who's running the show, know which stories are selling and people want to hear, to be quite honest. So I mean, I would recommend for creatives to look into the entire value chain production. Like if you want to act. If you want to direct, but also look at writing and diversify yourself, because being a creative actually means, Chomi, to be an entrepreneur, because you are creating work for yourself and other people. And I'm always preaching that, and that's like my foundation when I get into producing. I'm always trying to find a way to create opportunities for myself. So I'm enjoying it, but it's very stressful.
I can imagine. And a lot of people, when they don't see you on screen, they think, where is that girl? Not knowing that there are so many things that one can do, especially as women, behind the scenes. Now let's talk about motherhood. Motherhood, we're here because of that. Take me through the first time you heard what did you feel for you to even do that test or check you're pregnant?
My son is 10 this year, and
10
by the way. So this is something I have to go back and think. I just remember I got flash at the toilet. I was so stressed, and I mean I was 26, and it wasn't a plan, to be quite honest. So I was a little taken aback a bit, and I think there was a bit of nerves, but somewhat excitement, and I didn't know whether to feel guilty about the excitement, because I wasn't really ready. So I was struggling with that for a long time as well. The days after that, I was like, okay, cool. What does it mean? But I was relatively very, 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 very nervous. And then kafonela papa ting.
So who did you call first?
Papa
ting. And then what did he say?
He was so excited.
Of course.
He was quite excited, and he was a high school sweetheart. So I think there was quite a lot of friendship, relationshiping that had happened over the years. And he had always wanted a child, So it was something that was a big aha for him, aha moment. So I think that helped. I think immediately when I could see that I'm not in this alone. I kind of relaxed into myself. I relaxed into my body slowly. And I think he helped me, because I was more like the he's quite shy. He's a little bit conservative, and I was a lot more, the bolder one.
The bolder one, yeah.
So in that phase, he became that for me, so that I could find the language to then tell everybody else. But yeah, Nicholas stressed. Nicholas stressed.
And more often than not, we are told not to celebrate too quickly when you find out that you are pregnant, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, Jorge, like the reason why I'm asking, who did you tell first? Especially us Black people, it's always so sacred. Don't tell people how far you are. Don't celebrate too quickly because you don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
In terms of family, besides him, who did you tell, and what did they say?
I must have told my friends or family. So I'm sure I must have called a friend, but I'm relatively close also to my grandmother.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember she was the first person in my family, and Kitrevile all the way to Limpopo. Kare, let's go. Actually, because I feel I needed to afford her. Just a
Hlompo. Yeah, not over the phone and sit her down and tell her. Yeah.
In the event that otla tshwara ke stroke,
so you'll be there to take her to the hospital.
So I just didn't want to take the chance to me. So yeah, I went there and I told her, and she cried out of excitement, So that was quite a relief. And I think after that, I was more than happy now. Because now if she's fine, if I've got her support, then and her blessings, then Keshapo. So she was definitely the first person in my entire family that knew.
Yeah. And then your body expanding. How was it? Like, I don't know if you were still on set at the time.
Yes.
You were shooting, from what I remember.
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
But to be quite honest, like the first trimester was horrible. So
I know.
Hectic. So I lost quite a bit of weight there.
You lost?
Yeah, I lost a lot of weight, yeah.
Okay.
So there was no gaining of weight.
Yeah.
Second trimester, I was glowing, my skin, and then the expanded cha.
That's hectic.
Started happening towards the end of the second trimester into the third. Nolo Phiri Phindi. You wouldn't recognize me.
I remember. I think I remember you. I know.
I don't have a single picture. Can I tell you? That's how self-conscious I was about the experience. And social media wasn't like rife at that particular time.
Yeah.
But I was on Facebook and but I would not, I really would refuse to document what I look like. I think I was a little harsh on myself. Yeah. My skin went back.
Yeah.
The pimples, the hormonal acne. And then obviously I think I gained about, I think it was 20 kgs. So I wasn't happy with myself, and I think I was a lot harsher with myself. So I didn't embrace the feeling. I hated even the baby moving, to be quite honest.
What?
I did. It just felt like
Marionette's uncomfortable. I always see a lot of people. Like, it's not nice at all. I know what you mean. Even with me, I started enjoying the movements much because every time I would drink Sprite, I would not move again. And then she would sit on the one side of the tummy and then even chrome. So it's uncomfortable, even though it's like. That's when you see the power of God. Like there's movement and there's a person inside of you.
And they find the space to live. No, I think it's important just to maybe highlight just generally.
I love dogs.
So no, get it up. So I think for me, I attributed the feeling I really felt that there was something moving that I was terrified about. It took me until maybe 24, 26 weeks where I felt like, oh, okay, cool. This is of me. Yes. This is a baby. This is not a puppy.
I know.
I did, to be quite honest. And that feeling actually, as soon as they put it on, I really felt like they'd put a puppy on me.
A puppy, Nolo. But again,
we're not tabaing.
Snakes.
So nahana babaya no hamo.
But why would you? I can't understand me to go on a drug.
No, but it's the sensation. It's that feeling of this.
There's something moving.
It's breathing. It's alive. And you can feel that this is a human being that's from you. Yes. And that sensation was really, it was actually quite surreal. it
Sure.
took me a while it took me a while to own
Yeah.
the this new life that I was,
Yes.
connected to. But to be quite honest, it did feel like that. It really did. And the only way I can explain it is nekere ke something else.
You're killing me. So now, like, did you work throughout your pregnancy?
No.
You stopped when?
Work out.
No, like working,
Oh.
umsebenzi.
Oh no! I was still on Rhythm City.
Yes.
I was still on Rhythm City, and they were very kind.
Yeah.
They gave me like 6 months off.
What?
Because I had been on story and I was
Oh,
keep busy.
yeah.
So they were like, actually, this is the perfect time to put you on a bit of a break. So then I was pregnant just most of the time,
At
Kileko
home.
High, and then I came back for a story to write me out. And of course, they shoot you,
Half-half, yeah.
half, and
So I had the pregnancy because I worked throughout my pregnancy. I
Really?
think I stopped going to work when I was like 8 months.
You must have been really nice and
No,
tiny.
I was tiny, and my midwife also said that I was not picking up weight. But also I realized when Nema was born, she was like 2.7. She was tiny.
Oh my god!
So I didn't gain weight at all, but it was hard, like having to do kissing scenes while you're pregnant because I was in the middle of the story so they had to write it in. And now Dinkla's dating Daniel Nyati, Mangi, and Quentin at the same time. So I'm having three kissing scenes with three different people.
Oh my
But every
gosh.
time that I would have scenes, she would be happy. She would turn around. I don't know what was happening. But it was not easy. Like you're saying,
Wow.
we are always hard on ourselves, especially
Yeah.
when you see changes.
Yeah.
Your neck is getting darker.
Yeah.
You can't even watch yourself on screen because you're not really happy with how you look.
Yeah, I had a lot of the audiences be like, Niku guy. Because Nikki was quite sultry.
Yes,
I used to
sexy,
wear sexy or whatever. And then
yes.
all of a sudden I'm off screen for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I come back and ngoika. And my
Yes.
face is a little bit wider. And
Yeah.
TV ya re godisa
Ya re
ganyane,
godisa,
kila ba-
eh.
So I think there was a moment where people were like, okay, I hope this is
Something
part of the
couldn't go off.
story.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that made me even a lot more conscious. In
Yeah.
fact, and I took that into my post delivery. Because then I was, because I remembered the criticism, and I was like, oh gosh, I cannot go back on screen, with this kind of body, and then I was really, really, really hard on myself. Sure,
Yeah.
I think I was back in gym like 4 weeks
Sure.
after the baby was born.
Yeah. For someone who's watching and then they just found out that they're pregnant,
Yeah.
from your own experience and lessons,
Yeah.
what's that one thing you would tell them or advise them on? Obviously, nothing had effects. Yeah, hey, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying, you're talking about being hard on yourself.
Yeah.
And maybe there's someone who's going through the same thing. They don't like how they look.
Yeah.
And they're not happy with the amount of weight that they've gained. Like, what would you say to them?
I think firstly you need to empower yourself, né? And when I say empower yourself, it's even like the community of people you have around you. Firstly, get the right people around you who will make you feel good about your experience and your journey, and they will give you empowering, messages and conversations about what it looks like and what it is and what to expect, and also just empower yourself in understanding what your body is going to do, because your body's going to go left whether or not it's actually a miracle
It
that
is a
our
miracle.
bodies actually hold humans for that long, and how we are still able to
Do everything else.
everything
Move,
else
drive,
and
go to work.
you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think the more you know where the stage of your pregnancy is, what to do, what not to do. Am I a gym person? What do I need to eat? Am I stressing myself more than I should? Is my mental health more important at this particular point? Am I struggling with the idea of what am I going through? Maybe it's not your body that you need to be worried about. Maybe it's your spirit. Maybe it's your
Yeah,
emotional
the
health. It's your
emotions,
mental
yeah.
health.
Yeah.
I think be honest about what you really need at that particular time. But what's important is have the right people who are very supportive
Yeah.
about your journey, who will be there while you're going through the change. And as soon as everything happens, it's also another new awakening. It's a brand new thing. be with people that will continue the journey once the baby's there. So for me, find your circle, find your people, find your support system, and answer that one thing that you know is more important. Is it looking after your body? Is it looking after your spirit? Is it looking after your mental health?
Yeah.
And I had none of those questions during my first pregnancy. I think I tried to be a lot more intentional in my second pregnancy to be a lot more deliberate about those conversations, you know. But I would say that I would definitely prioritize the things I need, you know, and be selfish about it.
Yeah, and when you talk about family members, sometimes they don't have boundaries, like friends and family, because you can see someone is pregnant, but you remind them how big their nose are.
Yeah.
Like, why? Akira, you can see they're pregnant. And I think sometimes you must also remind them, like, be kind. Because also hormones are all over the place. A small thing can just make you sad and disappointed just because someone said, you can see that this mutona is pregnant. You know what I mean? So I understand what you're saying, that we should be around people who understand, people who are more supportive, people who remind you that you're still beautiful, and it's just the period. After that, when the baby comes out, you go back to your normal place.
Yeah.
Now, talking about your second pregnancy, the difference. Where were you mentally? Is it different?
Yes, I thought it was.
Was it easier because now this is the second time doing it?
I was a lot kinder. It was something that, even though it was very haphazard during haphazard times and COVID and stuff, it was something that I wanted, you know, as well. So I think my approach to the experience was a little bit different as well. I kind of now knew what my body was going to do, so I could anticipate, you know, the changes that were going to happen. I was a lot more kinder, gijile, unapologetically, you know, to a point, because I knew that I could get back into my body, you know. And I was lucky to also have, you know, my son, and, you know, I was now in a more stable relationship as well. So I wasn't young and afraid and naive, you know. So I was a lot more intentional. So I was looking after my mental health. You know, I remember even going to therapy with my partner as well, because there was just so much. It was a very
tough time,
COVID, you know. So, and I knew that, you know, there was a lot of uncertainty and a lot of vulnerability, you know, work. We don't know whether we're going to have work or not. So my mental health was what I was more worried about. You know, there was just so much change. Am I adapting, you know, and am I moving with the pace of everything that I'm now, you know, on, you know? So I was a lot more intentional about it. Unfortunately, I was hoping to get natural birth as well, but my body was a little bit different now. I wasn't able to push, you know, push as well as I could, you know, and things like that. But I was a lot more kinder though. I didn't think it was a problem versus in my, you know, my first pregnancy. If a doctor said, look, I don't think this is going to work, I thought there was something wrong with me. You know what I mean? Now I knew that information just meant make better decisions for where you are right now, you know? So it was a much, much kinder and much gentler experience.
Now, talking about, you know, deciding, like, I remember, like, because you have different influences. Your mom would be like, no, push. Some gynecologists were like, book your date, book your bed, and go for cesarean. For the first one, what made you decide? What made you to decide to go for natural? And for the second one, how you said it was not planned. It was like an emergency cesarean. So let's talk about now deciding what type of birth you want to go for.
So the first one, it was just advice that I was given. My grandmother's also a nurse, you know, so she was like, pusha.
Yeah,
you know, and your body, and then so I was like, okay, I'm going to do that, you know, and it was quite a traumatic, very traumatic. Pushing a baby is you know, it is just, it's a superpower. Really, you know. And it was actually quite a difficult birth as well, even though I did end up pushing, you know, I ended up getting stitches and things like that. So I took my grandmother's advice there because, you know, she is like a nurse and a midwife, and she's, you know, done this many times. And I was actually go a hospital where
They focus on
focus on that, and I had Genesis.
Oh, I also went to Genesis.
So I had a midwife who was
Yes.
telling me, then I had a doula, and I was like, no, ma'am, please, on the side, because honestly, I
Yeah.
don't need it. I really don't.
Yeah.
I just need, you know, I need since I get my mail.
Yeah.
And then with the second baby, I think it was also just the climate of COVID and
Yes, the
everything that was
stress.
happening and the stress. And my gynae was like, you know what, just based on your first pregnancy, I just advise, let's not go there. Let's really, really not go there. Let's just make sure, because you've got a very small pelvic, yes, you know. So I feel that it might compromise. We might end up having like a complication as well.
Complications,
So yeah, I took his advice this time. And my grandma was like, uska pusha ngwanaka. You know, because she was quite traumatized when they had to come in, and, you know, because I think as soon as I gave birth the first time, they had to take me in, and, you know,
Yeah, it was
it was
a
a
lot,
whole,
yeah.
it was a bit of a messy situation.
Yeah.
So I was just taking guidance from my gynae, and the trauma of the first pregnancy was a little, I think it was still at the back of my mind. Walebala though.
Walebala, yeah. That's why you can go for the
Walebala.
second one, the third one, the fourth one. Because walebala, it's the most,
Yeah.
it's painful, but walebala after the baby's
Walebala,
day. Yeah.
walebala. And the
Yeah.
second one, yeah, I mean, cesarean, I suppose you just know what you're walking into. I get it. You know what time you're supposed to be in
Being,
and whatnot.
yeah.
I just remember, you know, the baby time when they inject you at the back.
Epidural.
Epidural, yeah.
Yeah.
Nick is the show and
Yeah,
Nick
and
is-
how ka go tla ba paralyzed mo, is it true?
so I kept even and
Oh
then
my god.
as the baby came out, and they were putting my guts back in, ma'am, I could feel it, and I was like, hey, to my partner, I was like, hey, babotso gore, you know, and they
You
kept on
want
saying
your
it's a
belly
light.
button back to where it was. I see BBA like girl.
No, maar ne ke utlwa ba beya-
When you
ba beya
movement,
kitty, ba beya-
yes.
and I was like, no, I know they said there's a light sensation, but I can feel what's going on
But
here.
it's not so. You can just feel
It
there's
wa-
a movement of
No.
something
For me,
coming out.
it was, yeah. And I don't know if it had to do with the fact that they struggled quite a lot with the epidural. So eventually they sedated me because I was actually in pain. So it was actually not. Everybody was like, "Oh, cesarean's nice."
Yes.
For me, it
not.
wasn't as pleasant. Yeah.
And any advice you want to give to someone who's pregnant out there, whether it's the first time or it's the second time, because like you said, it's different.
I think be intentional about your plan, your birth plan, empower yourself, read, speak to people. Don't surprise yourself, because it's such an overwhelming experience that prepare your mind, you know, prepare your body and stuff. And I know inversely, when you go on the internet and you're watching people pushing, those things also give you anxiety. But I feel information is power, honestly, you know. So I would, number one, say that. I think empower yourself in terms of what your body will require from you at different stages. And after that as well, give yourself time. Give yourself time to connect with your baby, because it is a motherhood that you are starting.
Yeah.
It stops becoming about you, and it becomes about, you know, this child that you're raising, you know. Like, you have to be intentional about what kind of mother you want to be, you know. And especially because we grew up in times where our mothers were nabatshwara mo, they weren't intentional about that, you know. Don't fall into that trap as well, you know. Now we've got time to be like, okay, cool, I saw how my mother navigated this, and she didn't really have enough time or
me, or
moments to look at herself and then
Yeah.
understand, okay, I want to make sure that I raise my kids katsela this is what I believe in, this is what I want them to know. So start thinking about those things, you know, and don't find them along the way and be like, oh, but what do I believe in? What do I want my child to know? You know? So I think as you are pregnant, use that time to answer those questions
and
about
bond,
yourself and
yeah.
bond with yourself and your ideals and your principles, and make sure that they're connecting with this child that you're about to, you know, bring into this world, you know. And I'm telling you, it makes such a difference. It really makes such a difference, because you feel like you're in control over, and it's, I mean, there's there's things that you are gonna learn on the job.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, but it's nice to be a lot more intentional. Okay, nna ke motho o so, you know, and nna ke rata tsela e so, and ke rata bophelo bo so, and ke batla my child to come into this space, you know, and I think use the time because they grow up so quickly, and they ask you questions, and then you're like and that was me with my son. In the beginning, everything was happening so quickly that I found my language as a mother later on.
Right.
Yeah. And now there was more language for me with my second child.
Yeah. And what's that one thing that you learned about yourself ever since you've been a mom?
To be quite honest, it's and I was thinking about it the other day. Motherhood has taught me patience.
Yeah.
So much patience.
Yo, tell me about it. Yo. And in every stage.
In every stage.
Whether you had toddler stage or like yours is 10, a different type of patience.
Yeah.
Naledi levels.
Because you actually see life through their eyes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whether wabat or wabat.
Yeah.
You know, because depending on how they're engaging and how they are understanding themselves in relation to the world, right? And I was always a very impatient person about my own process as well, and my own growth, and my expecting so much from myself, and I work hard and I have to do this and I have to do that, you know? And motherhood taught me, no, actually, if you're not ready, you're not ready.
Yeah.
If she's not ready to potty train or whatever, and it's really it's really part of where she is. If she's not ready to talk, if she's not ready to, whatever stage she's in.
And also, don't you find it weird that sometimes as friends, we compare our kids? One Mapaseka started potty training at 3, so this one, or even sisters. I'm sure when you do me, you'll be like, Nana to me started talking quicker than mine. Why? And not forgetting that these people are different.
Yeah. And with my first child, I was like, oh my God, is there something wrong with my child? Okay, cool. This time I'm a lot more patient.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, cool. Where is she though? Okay, cool. What does she need? What can I do to help her? Is it something that I should even be looking to helping? Or is it just because of where she is? And I've adopted that kind of thinking as well in just the way of, whatever I do, whether it's work, sometimes you want things to happen now, and it's like, no, actually, you gotta be patient. So things are all about time. Things happen at the right time, and it's things have rites of passages,
Absolutely.
So it's taught me quite a lot to be patient, and to be kinder with the process. So I would say that.
I think me too. I think I've learned to be patient and more kind. Because sometimes you're going through the most, but your child doesn't know that you're going through the most, and you have to be present all the time. One thing that I learned is to be present. Because sometimes uyagowisha sana. But then she sees this perfect person and she wants to play, and when you don't, but you have to.
Yes.
I've
had my son say, Mama, today you're good. And I'm like, what do you mean?
What about other days?
And he says, no, for the last 4 days, you were not okay. And like what's going on when you're like that? And that's when you realize, oh gosh, I'm not an island. These people
can see,
pick up, they observe, they learn. They learn from you. It's like monkey see, monkey do. And they see how you also handle tough times and situations and decisions. So the presence you're talking about also comes with that, to be like, oh, wait, hang on. I'm going through a lot, but how much do I want him to see? Because you also don't want to shield them from
the truth.
life.
The other day I broke down in front of her.
Yeah.
And I felt like I want to say sorry. Because I said to her, Nema, I'm so sorry that I broke down in front of you.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll pray for you. God is good all the time. And I'm like, God, it's hard. So do you think have you ever cried in front of your kids?
Yes.
So it's fine. I'm not crazy.
No, ma'am. But there are moments where I'm like,
hide it so that they don't see that you're going through life. But I'm like, when they're not okay, they show us that they're not okay.
Yeah. And I encourage that. And I'm like, no, please
tell me
encourage
if
your
you're not-
feelings.
yes.
But then I'm not doing the same. What I try not to do, though, is that if they've seen me cry and Shem, it's something I couldn't help, then, you know, the next couple of days, I'm not like falling apart.
Yes.
You know? So I'm trying to say, look, I've given myself an opportunity to feel because I need to get on the other side of that feeling, but I must show them that I'm trying to get to the other side.
Right.
So I don't stay in the crying and I'm just
you are
like,
sad the whole day,
they sad day, then they're like, okay, there's something really wrong.
Yeah.
But allow them to see my vulnerability, you know, which is something that I wasn't comfortable with for the longest time, you know, and I always say that to, especially with my son, I'm always like, no, you know, this whole thing being tough and being, no, like,
it's life.
Be cool with being hurt and not show of what you're doing, right? But be okay with now moving on from that feeling, you know. So they have to see me practice that. So I'm still trying and I'm still working at making my vulnerability, you know, accessible to them as well, so that they can access their own vulnerability. But it's tough. It's tough, and it's something you have to say out loud, you know, because you can be in your head and you can be in your feelings and your spirit is down. You have to say it out loud and give the affirmation, man. Give the affirmation.
And sometimes we have to unlearn the things that we learned from how we were brought up. Because I can count how many times I saw my mom cry, you know, and that's why I thought I'm doing something wrong, crying in front of Nema, because my mom, she's hardcore. But sometimes you just want to cry and let it all out. So I think it's also that whole thing of unlearning things that we saw or learned from our own parents so that now children are more in tune with their feelings and they should be able to say, I'm not happy. I don't want to play there. I want to do this. I don't want to do that. So for me, it was hard. That's why I felt like, oh my God. I sat her down and I said, I'm sorry, I broke down. And she's like, no, it's fine. I also break down when I'm not okay. You know, and it was a very interesting conversation to have with a 6-year-old.
I think you were empowering her. I think that the fact that you even wanted to bring that moment into awareness, you know, for me is that's what's empowering, to say, listen, should I even apologize for it? And her seeing you, you know, wanting her to understand what this moment might mean for you and her. For me, I think, and they're smart.
Yeah, they are.
I'm telling you, that moment she'll remember and say, oh, okay, cool. I remember even her apologizing for it. But I understand it today because I understand a lot that I didn't about my mother's journey then, you know. And, you know, I had a very, very tough relationship with my mom growing up. And I've had so many aha moments. Now that I'm raising ththese kids, and I'm like, oh my God, that's what she was going through. Oh goodness, that's why she didn't even have the time, because it was all too much. She was suffering. And she didn't have the language for it, and she didn't really have the support. Guys, language is so important to be able to put things into words. To say, oh, what I'm feeling is actually this. Okay, cool. Because now you can own it.
Absolutely.
So it's been empowering the second time around, you know. But I love being a mom.
I love being a mom too. Sometimes, some days it becomes a lot. Thank you so much, Nolo. I had a lovely chat with you, and all the best with. Do you want the third one? Also, valile manji. No, the economy is doing bad. 2 is enough.
You know what? I'm grateful for the 2. I am grateful for the 2.
But if
and if the third one comes around, it needs to come in very, 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 very stable environments where I'm in a much, like, I'm rich. And I have so much time for another child and a family and whatnot. But I'm so happy. I mean, I have a boy, I have a girl. God has been really good.
Friend. I think you're done.
No, don't born 2 years
get
from
a
now.
Dog. I know you said you're scared of dog. Get a dog. Live family. Thank you.
But I'll think about it.
Okay, thank you so much for coming. And like I said, all the best with work.
Oh, thank you.
Producing, being a mom, and you're such a lovely woman. We are slow, we mates, I just love that about you.
No, I'm so inspired by you all the time.
Yeah.
I really, really appreciate this platform that you are giving and affording as working moms who also want to be babes, but also are scared to say, hey, are you doing it right? Okay, cool. Please, I need to know, am I on the right track? So this is such an empowering platform. So kudos to you, Chomi.
Thank you.
I really want to see this platform like cross borders and really cultivate, empowering young women and just us mothers who still have 2 kids. I mean, we've got so much to learn.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate the
Thank you
opportunity.
so much. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I hope you guys learned few things from us and the conversation we had. Till we meet again on Namonamu Mommy Diaries. Dumelang, lebitso la ka ke Mapaseka Koetle, and welcome to Mommy Diaries. Re tlo bua ka all things motherhood. On today's topic, we're talking about great expectations. Re bua ka pregnancy, and we have midwife sister Phindi Mashinini. She was my midwife, so I invited her here. Re tlo bua ka what to expect when a woman is pregnant. Sister Phindi, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. So let's just talk about you a bit. Have you always wanted to be a midwife when you were young? I weka little Phindi when she was a young girl.
No. It was not in the picture. Never,
Yes.
ever. I did nursing. I did my first 3-year diploma. And I didn't think about midwifery. I actually didn't even want to be in the maternity ward.
Okay.
Yes. But then I got pregnant immediately after completion of my training. When I started working, I just found out I was pregnant, and then I followed up with midwives
Right.
from the beginning of the pregnancy to 6 weeks post-delivery.
Right.
So the experience that I had during the pregnancy was so awesome. I liked whatever they were doing, and my pregnancy was pretty straightforward. No complications, no nothing. And I had a nice birth in a midwifery unit in the township
Wow.
where I grew up.
Yeah.
And I had midwife. So I was following up in the township with midwives at the local clinic. So yeah, some of them I knew from my training, but that didn't make any difference. I was just a mom coming to the clinic like every other woman. I didn't take my profession with me. I just
Yeah.
took myself. And the midwives had such an impact in how they cared for women, even the ones that were not professionals. They were just normal women, but everyone was treated with dignity and care. So when I went into labor, I followed up with the midwives. I went to the clinic and they still treated me well. I had a very good experience, and because I was low risk, I birthed at a local clinic.
Local clinic,
So after giving birth, that's when I realized that there's no challenge in this.
Right.
It's a natural process, so you need to follow it up accordingly.
Yeah.
And then the midwives will be able to pick up problems and treat them if they can. Otherwise, refer you to a doctor if you need a doctor. So I didn't need a doctor. I had all my checkups with them. I had the birth with them. I had the postnatal 6
With
weeks
them.
check with them.
Wow.
So that's what changed my mind into midwifery.
Yeah.
It was never my thought.
Of your thought or your
No,
plan.
no,
Yeah.
no.
A lot of women your age, they talk about how it feels like pregnancy was different from what it is now. Most women back in the days, I don't know if it was lack of choice. They gave birth natural than like now where there's, you have a choice. You can just decide that actually I'll book my bed and I'll give birth ka cesarean. So is it what we eat? Why are we having more emergency C-sections than our parents?
I'm not too sure like what the reason is, but I think the reason is definitely personal choice.
Right.
And maybe sometimes lack of knowledge to the young women because there's a lot of like everybody thinking that the first line of care is actually a gynae more
Right,
than
than
a
a
midwife.
midwife,
Yes. So if you start with a midwife, your whole thought process will change.
Yeah.
But if you start with a gynae, it's going to be another
Different.
one
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
So the truth is, I don't think there's a physiological change between us and the young women now.
Right.
But there can be, you know, because the challenges are like the type of jobs that you guys are doing, and everybody's driving, and all of that, because you are sitting most of the time. So when you are pregnant, you're not exercising.
Right.
So we used to exercise a lot because we used to walk to work, walk back, taxi, you know, all of that. So we didn't have the advantages that you guys have. And besides, we knew our mothers had natural birth, and so it was a line to follow. There was no other option. Yes. But we knew that when there's a challenge, you will always have a cesarean. That we cannot right away from the whole system of childbirth. It is a necessity because some people will be challenged, others are not challenged. But I think it's just the lifestyle changes that makes people want things to be quicker than easy and easy.
Okay, so here I am. I just found out that I'm pregnant. Now, you know, like there's my mom is there, your aunts are there, and your friends are there, and there's Google, and you get confused on, should I go to my doctor first? Or let's say you find out from the doctor. How should one be able to choose between, should I go to a midwife or should I go? Because I started with the gynae first, because that's what I knew. But up until I spoke with friends, no man, there's a clinic, and you know, midwives, they build this relationship with you, they take you through it, and then, you know, it's a beautiful experience. Then when you are with the gynae, it's like scan, and then you get your picture, and then that's it. And then you book your bed, and then on the 20-something, you're gonna give birth. So how should one decide on where to begin the day they find out that they're pregnant?
I think information is what maybe is not out there as much as it should. I think a lot of women coming to midwives is a word of mouth.
Yes.
There's not much documentation going around as to this is an option for birth.
Why is that?
I think maybe we have to blame ourselves also for not coming out as much as we should. We need to put ourselves out there to say, like, this is a service, this is what we can do. But another thing is like a first line of care in any society should be like primary care, and that is midwifery. Or a nurse. You might not know the names, but you need to know that the primary caregiver is always a nurse. Most of the time is a nurse. So then the nurse can assess you and then shift you according to the need. Like, look, so and so, this is what is happening. You need to go see the gynae because you are like, there's high risk factors, you know.
So once you've decided that this is what I want to go through this journey with my midwife, when is the best time to start that process of appointments and all of that? Is when you found out too early, is it too early? Or can we do both? Can I go see my gynae and the midwife at the same time?
What you can do is like most of the time when you find out, it's doing a home test. And then after the home test, you can phone a midwife, and then the midwife will direct you to say like, okay, seeing that you are 8 weeks or 6 weeks, go to the doctor again and get another scan to confirm the pregnancy is healthy, it's in the right place, it's in the uterus or whatever. And then the doctor will direct you to the next visit, which is around 12 weeks. And then the midwife will start at 16 weeks.
16 weeks,
Yes, 16 weeks. And then with all the visits that you get, the midwife will tell you the next one is with the gynae or with the sonographer or whatever. So starting is the most important thing, is to start at the right time, because some women start too late, and then that becomes like a bit of a challenge to inherit somebody that you don't really know.
Because it is a beautiful relationship, because you become like a second mom. Because I remember our visits, like we started getting to know each other. You could see what were my fears, the type of work that I do, and all of that. That relationship is beautiful. It almost feels like the baby inside can also feel this
happy
is
all the time.
Absolutely. But I'm sure it's possible for all to work together. Like
we can work together. There's no challenge with that. You can have a midwife even if you are birthed by a gynae.
Got
You
you.
can still have a midwife.
Yeah.
The midwife that will do like some of the talks, go through some deeper issues or mother issues and all of that. Because midwives are like mothers.
Yes, they are.
Some of them are younger, but still, the
Yes.
relationship is like that kind of a system or mother's relationship.
Yeah.
So you can still have both and then use them differently, and be guided
Yeah.
between the two of them. Yeah.
Now let's talk about the high risk and the low risk of pregnancy. How do you know, or how does one know that I have a lower risk or the high risk? And
Okay.
when can you detect that?
Okay. The high risk can be detected soon also. Like maybe you've got sugar in your urine or protein in your urine, and you can get some bit of history. Was your mom or your sisters? Did they have this condition or that condition? So you can exclude all of that. That is why it's important to test, to do the urine test, to do the blood pressure test, and all of these things are actually done for a reason of exclusion.
Right.
To exclude the high risk factors. So the high risk, when you get to a high risk, then we can easily say, okay, go and see the doctor and let the doctor see, or you can communicate with the doctor as a midwife to say, like, doctor, I've got this client, this is what is happening, you saw her at this time, this is what is, and then the doctor will direct, come sooner to her or what. Yes, and then we can exclude the high risk and confirm it. Is it high risk or is it not high risk? Yes.
And then once obviously you are pregnant, sometimes we are told, don't eat this, don't eat that, don't eat fish, don't eat that. What should one stop eating immediately when they're going to stop alcohol if they drink?
Yes.
But when it comes to food, what should one stop eating immediately after finding out they're pregnant? Or is it like everything moderate? You can have anything, anytime?
You can eat a lot of things, but you just have to stop the raw things. Like raw things, sushi, fish especially, because some of these things are like difficult to cook and the cooking time is very limited. Okay. So when the cooking time is limited, they actually raw when you eat them. So they can poison you.
All right.
Yes. So food poisoning is what we want to stop.
Oh, to stop.
Yes.
Not that it will harm the baby.
No,
yes.
because if you get food poisoning, it's very hard to treat when you're pregnant because the drugs are quite aggressive. So you don't want to even go there. So that is why they say, don't stop doing that, don't stop eating this, stop eating that, because sometimes you can actually find yourself infected and then it's hard to treat.
Yeah. And sometimes when, I don't know, my English has run away. When like, let's say, for example, you would call your mom, oh, I'm feeling this way.
Yes.
And then your mom would
like little advices,
tips, and you get your tips from your mom or you get tips from your aunt, but there's also the truth from the midwife or the gynae. How do we handle that thing of who do I listen to? Because your mom is your mom and you trust that she's got 5 kids. It means that she got it right. So if she says, sit on a bucket of warm water when you're feeling pain, and then maybe use like, no, that's not how it's done. So who do we listen to? Because actually, everyone has tips.
Yeah. I think you can listen to the old tips.
Tales,
They're not harmful.
Right.
Yes, they're not harmful. But rather listen to the person that is going to actually birth your baby.
Right.
I think that's the best advice I can say. Yes, because the one that is going to birth you knows
better.
Exactly what to do.
Yeah.
But your mom is not wrong also.
Yeah.
But her tips might be outdated.
Right, because things change.
Yes, because, times change and we discover a lot of things and we know that this was not necessary then. But now we only but what did we do this?
Yes.
You ask yourself all the time.
Yeah.
I asked all the time and I was not very comfortable with my mom doing things and my mom said, okay, I'm going to leave you just because you think you're a nurse.
You think you know it all.
But I just asked the question why and older people don't like that.
No, they don't.
They don't like the why. So it's just to humble yourself around it and just say, okay, take it with a pinch of salt and I'll confirm with my midwife, Now
let's talk about exercising. A lot of women now these days, they go to gym all the time and some don't. when should one stop gymming, or when should one start gymming when they find out that they're pregnant? Like you said, you mentioned something about our bodies being natural. It means that this baby can come out itself when it's when the time is right. So sometimes we are lazy and we don't have time to, or some people, when they find out that they're pregnant, they stop gym completely. Should one stop going to gym, or should they continue?
No, you can continue with your gym. Your gym instructors will tell you what you can and cannot do.
Yeah.
So you need to do gentle exercises, but you need to continue doing your exercises because they are vital, especially if you want natural birth. Yeah. And besides wanting natural birth, they just important to keep yourself fit and your heart strong and your lungs and all of that. You need all of that for childbirth. So exercises should continue. And you can do them at home. If you're not going to the gym, you can just walk. Like, make it a point that at this time,
you walk.
Every other day I walk for half an hour. It's healthy to do that for anybody. But for a pregnant woman, is even more healthier. Yeah.
And how does one prepare their minds, or, like this, the times have changed, people are suffering from depression and anxiety. How does one make sure that their mental health is important during this time when this baby is growing inside of them?
Hey, mental health can never be stressed enough. Mental health is a big issue. A lot of women are actually depressed, and they come into pregnancy being depressed. So they're very super anxious and all of that. So you just need to number one, choose the person that you are comfortable with, because that person can talk to you through this whole thing and understand your depression. And if your depression is like heightened, you need to be referred to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. So you have to be referred. And your midwife, because when you are with a midwife, you have a gynae as well. So your midwife and your gynae need to know how to care for you in that space of that depression, because the depression can start in pregnancy and can continue after pregnancy, and maybe even longer. Yes. So we need to be very cognizant of the fact that when a woman is talking to you, understand what they're saying, and actually take care of them according to their needs, because some need more, some need less. But you need to understand that I think this one is really fragile and is very, I don't want to even use the word fragile, but she's very sensitive. So we need to treat her accordingly, because everyone that comes to you as a caregiver, they come with their own baggage sometimes. So you need to know how to deal with the baggage. So being a woman and a mother, it's much better to actually talk to me. I'm available. You can call me even after hours. I don't have to talk to you only during the time of work, but I can talk to you even afterwards. So you need to give them that liberty to say you are available.
And then let's say you've decided that you want to give birth natural. There's water birth, and then is it earth?
A dry birth.
So what's the difference, and what are more women doing? Why should one try water birth, or like you come to my house and we do it in my house? What's the difference? So it's just a matter of choice.
It's just a matter of choice, really. But water is very soothing. When you go into a bath of warm water, you already feel like something is falling away. So those women tend to actually birth nicely and comfortably, and the baby is in the water, to the water. So the transition is also much easier for the baby. Yes, but it's definitely a choice thing. We don't push that, but we do advise to say okay, just try water and see how you feel, because when you're having contractions, you might just be so uncomfortable. So we try to make you as comfortable as possible. Go this, try this, go do the shower. If all this water and warm water is soothing, then we stay there. And if you still want to continue to birth in the water, you can birth. If you want to get out, you can get out. You definitely have a choice.
Do you remember the first child that you as a midwife, you don't remember?
I don't remember but what I remember is when I started private practice, I know that woman that I birthed because I actually birthed her first and her second child.
Wow.
So I wrote on her file number 1.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so she was my number 1 patient. So I stopped writing number 1 when there was 10 of them. Then I was like, this is going to be, I don't know until what number.
Yeah.
But I have a register where I write all my moms after birth.
Yes.
So I do know who birthed the first and the third.
First,
But the very first patient, I birthed 2 of her babies, yes.
And what's the craziest, maybe like thing or drama you've seen while birthing? Like sometimes maybe the mother's shouting at you because they're in pain, or are you just used to it? Like
you know what? You just like I think when I'm doing a birth, like when it's time to actually push the baby out, I'm very quiet.
I saw you.
I
You become
talk a lot.
You become someone different.
Yes.
You would almost feel like you're mad at me.
Yeah, like no, I keep quiet because I want to listen to everything. I want to recognize what I'm doing, and I want to focus on what I'm doing. I tell the moms sometimes, if you lucky you got that, maybe if you're not lucky you don't get it, because I tell them, I said during labor I'm a different person.
I saw.
Because I want to listen to because birth is spiritual.
It is spiritual.
So I want to actually be as calm as I can.
Yes,
So
and when you talk about spiritual, I saw it when I was struggling, and you said my mom must go out.
Yeah.
Because I think only later I realized, because she was panicking a lot. And she was disturbing the process because and that's when you realize, okay, it is spiritual. It's not a joke.
Yeah.
A human being is
coming out.
To this world.
Yeah.
So any advice to the moms out there who are still now deciding what type of birth they want to go for? Any advice you'd like to give them?
I would like to say, like try the natural birth first.
Yeah.
Do not underestimate your powers that you have. Try and see. It's never going to be a loss, but it's gonna be an experience that you'll never forget for the rest of your life, because it's nothing like anybody tells you.
Yeah.
Even people with 5 children, all these children come differently.
Yeah.
So it's most empowering. Actually, that's how I can analyze it, because I've went through 2 of my births naturally, without pain medication, without anything. And it was like, that's when I actually knew I've got so much power. I didn't know that. But I knew I had a lot of power, and maybe I'm stronger than I thought I was. But I was able to do my births without really a struggle.
And when the baby is out, or when the baby is born, is there a difference between a child, like medically, a child who was born through an emergency cesarean, and then a child who went through the natural route? Some people would say, one of our colleagues, kids who were born with natural, most of them don't have colic. Like we hear different stories, but is there really a difference once the child is out, not the process?
You know what? I can't say for sure, because I have not experienced that much of a difference. But what I know is going through the natural process gives the child more benefits than not. Because when a child is still in a quiet mode and it's cut and taken out, it's a difference for that child. But a child that is in labor, even if you end up with a cesarean, it's a different child, because that child was going through the passage. And had all the hormones and was not triggered. She came when she wanted to come. Yes. So those are the differences. But nursing a child from a Cesar, I maybe they could have some challenges here and there, but I don't think they are significant. You just need to, maybe if you know that the child is a Cesar, and you advise the mother, okay, take the child maybe to a chiro or reflexology to help those children, But most of the children that have the colic is just something that just comes. Yes. But it's not like related to like the birth per se. But I think some people will say that. Yeah.
And what are postnatal classes and
prenatal
classes and post Should women attend them? Are they important?
The prenatal classes are very
Prenatal classes,
important. I birthed both my children in public. And I mean, I had medical aid, but that's what was there. So I birthed both my children, but I had classes, you know,
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
We had classes before we go into the sessions with the midwives. We had like a video or something that was shared, like about eating, about exercises, about all of that. So we did everything. And the classes, as far as I can say, they are vital.
Yeah.
You need to know. You need to know. So when your midwife is saying something, you need to refer back
Yeah.
to say, like, in the class they said
They
this.
said this,
So
yeah.
this is the truth. Or, you know, like compare things. So classes are important. And I think all moms should actually attend them. And the fathers also.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that the fathers are present
Yeah.
in the classes and in the sessions,
Yeah.
because that is vital for them to actually learn also
Yeah.
what their role is as parents or as fathers to be. Yes.
When you talk about fathers, what's the why is it important for a child and a father to have that skin to skin that you spoke about, the skin to skin
Yeah.
moment?
Yeah.
What
This-
is skin to skin?
The skin to skin is just the bonding session that you get after birth. The skin to skin to the father first is because the father actually doesn't do a lot of things during the childbirth, ne? And they feel like left out. So
Right.
in like giving them the opportunity to actually do the skin to skin is actually so good, because they find it like so you know, good that they feel like, yo, I've done something,
done
you know,
something,
I've
yeah.
achieved something.
Yeah.
So whilst we're doing the mother, the dad is doing skin to skin.
To skin,
And the child is bonding with the father.
Yeah.
Because the father is talking to the child in utero whilst you are pregnant. Yeah, come back, hello, so and so. So the child, it recognizes the voice. Yes.
yeah.
So it's important to do skin to skin with the father. An hour is a good hour. After the mother is ready and all that, we do the mother as well. But the mother gets a few minutes, you know,
Yeah,
after the
to
birth,
breathe,
and then
yeah.
the father gets a little more,
Yeah.
because when we're busy and you go to the shower and then you come back and then you take the
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's very proud when he's gotten the
Yeah.
first chance. Yeah.
And then lastly, breastfeeding. You know, like some people just decide, I don't want to. But sometimes we scared. People are scared that my boobs will fall. You know, as girls, we have so much going on in our minds. I breastfed for 2 years, and that's one thing I miss about, you know, a child in my arms. 2 years, and I had fun with it.
Yeah.
Why is breastfeeding so important? I even remember the first time you put her on me,
Yeah.
and she found the nipple herself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is breastfeeding so important?
You know, like breastfeeding has got every nutrient you can think of. Every nutrient. You can go to the list of the nutrients that we need to consume. Breastfeeding has all of that. Besides that, breastfeeding is giving immunity to the baby.
Right.
Yes. And then the bonding. Besides those three things, it is cheap.
It is so cheap.
It is so cheap.
It's so cheap. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you
actually
c-
free.
It's free,
Yes.
you know. So I
Yes.
don't even understand why people will not do that.
Yeah.
You know, and like your breast will fall even if you breastfed or not
Yeah,
breastfed.
yeah.
As you age,
Things fall
things
apart.
fall apart.
Yes, I get
so
it. Yeah.
so breastfeeding, you know, I can't overstress this.
Yeah.
It's actually vital.
It
Just
is.
give it to your child. I mean, like now what we say is like at least the first 6 months.
Yeah.
Exclusive.
Yes.
And
No mixing the
Don't
formulas.
no
and,
mixing,
yeah.
no nothing,
Yeah.
just breasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And lastly, any message you have or advice you have for someone out there who's watching and they're pregnant and they're excited but they're also scared at the same time? What advice would you give to them?
Talk, get online, check on the platform where's the midwives.
Yeah.
You can actually talk to a midwife even.
Online.
I speak to patients in all over the country. Yeah, I don't even know them.
Yeah.
They just call me, like we find your name on Google or whatever, and ask whatever question they want to ask. It's
Yeah.
not a crime to actually ask. Ask, and then you'll get the information that you need, and then what you do with it is really up to you. But there's information all over the place. Yeah,
Okay. So if now your phone rings, maybe there's someone who's giving birth, you have to leave, ne?
I have to leave. And there's 2 moms that are waiting,
Is it?
in waiting.
But do you
But
remember
yeah.
that you predicted when Nema's going to be
Ish,
born?
when?
Because you said it was, the prediction was 27 September. And you're
yeah.
like, I have a feeling this baby's going
It's
to
gonna come Gandhi
Heritage Day.
Heritage.
And now I have plans. And it happened exactly
It happened
like that.
exactly that heritage. You know,
I should have called it Heritage because you call her Heritage. It's so beautiful.
can you, what is heritage in Zulu?
I could say.
What is heritage in Zulu,
But when you pass
guys?
heritage in Zulu, yeah, that's it. Anyway, anyway,
Umlando or something.
yeah, but umlando
Yeah.
ke jayivela it's samlando umlando. Oh yes.
Asifuni leyo.
Umlando.
No, we don't want that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome,
Sister,
you're
and all the
welcome.
best. You're doing an amazing work.
Thank
And
you.
hopefully my second one, you will be my midwife again.
I'm here. As long as I'm not retired.
Yes,
Retirement is calling
It's
also.
calling. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you so
Okay.
much for watching. And like Sister Phindi said, ask, check online, and decide for yourself. Thank you.